Hello friends, in today's video we will understand two very important Python concepts, the return statement and variable scope. If you write function but get confused about outputs or variable works sometimes and gives errors other times, so this video will be a complete game changer for you. In this thing, we are going to discuss a detailed depth overview about return statement and variable scope and see them how they exactly help us to write a efficient and reusable code in Python. Let's right now talk about what is a return statement. Think of a function like a factory. You give a raw material as an input to that factory to process your operation, and that factory produces an output on your given inputs. So basically somewhat similar in Python, sending this output back is done by using the return statement. If you don't use the return statement or a return keyword in Python code, the function works smoothly, but the result disappears silently. Let's right now talk about returning values from a function. Here you can see for the same I have shown a small code of snippet over the screen. Just focus on the screen. I will explain a detailed point of explanation about the return statement over here right now. See, here I created a function named as an add over here, and that function taking two variables as an input, a comma b, and inside that function I am performing a addition operation. And as soon as we use the return statement along with the addition operation, the values goes back to the outside of the function and get assigned to the result variable, and the data will get stored in the result. So basically if we print the result by using the print statement, then we get as an output as 15 over here. So this how we can use the return statement in Python in the way to define the values inside a function and evaluate it over there by using the return statement and get the result stored in the variable, and then we can use that variable to get it evaluated further in the sense that we want to use it. So this is how we can use it exactly. Let's right now see an practical example for the return statement as well right now. So I have already opened a PyCharm window over here. Let me just create a file quickly over here. Okay, so I'm giving the file name as statement over here right now. You can give your name of the file as per your preference. This depends on you totally. So I have already created a file with the name as a statement. Then I'm writing a small code of snippet over here for defining or for explaining the return concept in detail. So basically I want to perform operations like addition and subtraction, and done the evaluations or there as well for the addition and the subtraction. Okay, and by means of this operation I want to perform using the functions and the return statement specifically. So I'm going to write a small code of snippet over here. Just bear with me. I will explain the thing in detailed manner with a step-by-step approach as well. So let me just define a function that have, and the name of the function will be operation over here, which is taking two variable as input. Okay, on that two variable I want to perform addition and the subtraction. So I'm going to take one other variable sum equals to a plus b operation on the two variables which I am taking input from the user, and another operation will be the subtraction. So minus I want to take a variable over there as well, and a minus b. Then after evaluating the operation like addition and the subtraction over here, I want to return the result outside of the function. So for that I will use the return statement over here, and I will use that variables that I have already used for the evaluation, sum comma minus. Okay, it's already returning the output that we have already done in the function body. Now I want to call that function, pass the certain parameters, get the result from the function, and print over the terminal. So basically for calling that function we need a variable to store the evaluated output as well. So I will use a variable called result over here, and then I'm using equals to operator as an assigning operator, and in that assigning operator I'm assigning operation function where I am passing two values 3 comma 4 over here as an example of parameters that I'm using to evaluate the operation for subtraction and addition. So once I print the result over here right now, see, okay, let me just save the code right now and show you the output first, and then I will explain you how the result get evaluated exactly and get it come out from the function body too. So Python statement.py. See, it printed 7 and -1. So basically it print the addition and the subtraction over here. Let me right now explain to you how it exactly works by a debug point of view as well. So let me just really add a debug point over here. Just a sec. Okay, I added the two debug points specifically. Once as we already know how to debug the file, I choose the current file and clicking the debug icon over here right now and going to the console tab. So see, once I come across the result equals to operation, then the operation function will get called over here. It will come to this line specifically afterwards, but it goes like I have not added the debugger. Let me just quickly again run in the debug mode, stop and rerun. Ignore this pop-up. So see over here, it goes to this line. Then see it will come to this line because the function is called with the parameters. So see it comes over here with the parameters. Now sum equals to, it will perform the addition over here. Like sum is getting 7 over here, and then if I checked over here, minus equal to -1, like 3 minus 4, that's why we are getting the -1 over there. And then by using the return keyword specifically, I am returning the evaluated variables where I have calculated the sum and the minus values, so that I'm evaluating and returning outside of the function body. So once I return it, at that time I'm using the assigning operator, and that is that evaluated output specifically I'm assigning to the result variable, and in that result variable the data is stored right now. Once I print that result, I will get the output as the result over here. See, so this is how, like for performing a operation inside a function body and get the evaluated output from the function body, we use the return statement specifically. And after that, we have to store that evaluated output in some variables to get evaluation in the further manner as well. So this is how the return statement work in Python. Let's right now talk about what is a variable scope exactly. In simple one, if I talk about a variable scope exactly in Python, wherever we define a variable, where till the time it will get alive and used, that depends on the scope where we have defined it exactly. So in Python specifically, we do have two type of scopes like over here, a local variable scope and the global variable scope. For the detailed evaluation and the practical example, in the later stage, I have been explaining both of them in a step-by-step manner with a proper structure, and how they works in Python exactly we'll see in the next review. Let's right now talk about the local variable scope and the global variable scope as well, and see them practically how they exactly works in Python. So basically I have already opened a PyCharm window over here. Let me just create a file over here which I am going to name as scopes. Okay, so I will write a small code of snippet over here, and then I will explain you that how the local variable and the global variable exactly works in Python. So I'm going to define a function over here, a simple function that is doing nothing, just printing some values over there. Okay, and creating a function which name as an func over here, and then I want to define a variable inside that function like 10, obj equals to 10. Then I'm going to print that variable. A simple operation, nothing complex. Then I want to call that function. So see, over this scenario, I have already used a concept called a local variable scope. How exactly? Let me just execute the code, and then I will explain you the thing, how exactly I have used the local variables over here. So see, in the function, If you check it in the function body, I use a variable obj equals to and assign a value as in 10 over here. Once I define any variable inside a function body, then that variable is defined as a local variable, as in part of a specific function. As the part of thing, we cannot use or access the local variable outside of the function. Like if I want to try to print outside of a function over here obj, like I cannot print it. If I try to run the code, see, it's give me the error. Name object is not defined because that object obj is defined inside the function. That's why. So whatever the things that we going to define as a variable point of view, specifically I'm talking, if you define any variable inside a function body, then that variable has a local variable scope specifically. You cannot use or access that local variable outside of the function body. So this is the thing that we can conclude, that this how the local variable scope exactly works. Now let's right now talk about the global variable scope as well. So inside a function I have defined a variable, right? Now if I going to define another variable, like here I use the object, I will define something named like a date over here. So see, I have defined a variable outside of the function body. That variable is defined as an outside. It has a whole scope around the code. We can access this data variable inside a function body. Like if I want to print inside a function body, that I can print it, and outside of the function body, if I can directly print it, that also can do it. Okay, if I try to run the code right now, see, it print the values. Basically, let me just change the value to understand you better. Let me just save the value and run the code. See over here. Right now, I have defined a variable outside of the function body. So that type of variable, which is not a part of any specific function or anything, then it is called as a global variable inside a Python. If you want to access that variable in any point of scenario in the code, like inside a function body or outside of the function body, then you can use it. So this is how the local variable scope and the global variable scope exactly works in Python. So friends, today we learn about the return statement and the variable scope, and also see them in the practical and the detailed point of view too. In the next video, we are going to learn or talk about the Lambda functions and see how they exactly works in Python, along with a practical example demonstration too. If you found this helpful, like the video, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more Python tutorial. See you in the next video.